Uy, Greetings, everyone. Buenas noches. Estamos en más de garinagu. Um, Su medio de comunicación hablando sobre las problemáticas del pueblo garífuna en Honduras, Guatemala, Belice, San Vicente y los Estados Unidos. Greetings, everyone. This is Madriga Garinagu, Aurabuni Amuruni Media Company. We have been discussing issues within the Garifuna community and its diaspora, namely Honduras, Guatemala, and Belize, and New York, rather. So today, Trevor, we're gonna start off with this article by Kenny Castillo. I posted it in Mabriga Garenago, and the title reads: Nuestro pueblo está siendo asesinado, basta ya de asesinarnos. That was a quote from a prominent leader in the community. And I wanted to read a couple of excerpts from the article, and then we could have a broader discussion of it. Let me put it up. I can't put it up. I'm going to put it up. But I'm about to share it. I'm going to share it with the audience in the live.
While you pull that up, we want to welcome everyone to Mabriga Garinagu and Outer Booning and Murinuni Media establishment that was founded by Pablo and myself. And we have other affiliates out there like Habafo Garinagu Belize, Kenny Castillo, Honduras, Wagia Radio Limon, Honduras, Gar Vision, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. And we're inviting others to do the exact same thing that we're doing. So today we're going to talk about an article that pertains to the killing of brothers and sisters in Honduras. Pablo is about to read that. We're also going to talk about what happened this past weekend with the NAACP, with the Garifuna Stop the Violence talk, where the mother of Derek Perry was there. Thank you, Sister Glenda, for participating. And the upcoming symposium, November 8th and 9th in Los Angeles, 5250 West El Segundo, Los Angeles, to continue this conversation. Pablo.
So the article reads: Nuestro pueblo está siendo asesinado. Es la frase que comienza Mira Miranda su llamamiento por la protección de los pueblos garífunas, al igual que por la investigación de los crímenes que este año sorprendentemente van 17. Muchos de los asesinatos son de personas que forman parte de los equipos de defensoría de tierras ancestrales. El más reciente caso ocurrió en Masca Cortés, donde fue encontrado el cuerpo de Oscar Francisco Guerrero Centeno el pasado 18 de octubre. Cerca del cuerpo de Guerrero había una mototaxi misma en la que supuestamente habría sido asesinado. En el mismo sector de Masca, en septiembre fue asesinada Mirna Suazo, presidenta del patronato. Suazo recibió varios balazos de hechores aún no identificados, que se bajaron de una moto y se dirigieron directamente a ella. El crimen de Suazo provocó mucha conmoción y fue difundida por los principales medios de comunicación del país. De regreso con el crimen de Guerrero, la Organización Fraternal Negra Hondureña mencionó en un pronunciamiento que él había ido a Masca para dar apoyo a grupos defensores locales de tierra. Guerrero, de 39 años, es originario y residente en la comunidad garífuna de Triunfo de la Cruz. So below that, there is 20, there is a list, Trevor, of 20 people that lost their life. Most of them in Honduras,
Right.
a couple here in the Bronx. There's something going on in the community that we need to discuss as a community, and I think we started that conversation on Saturday
Right.
because we're too small of a community to have the number of assassinations or people dying.
And that wasn't everybody, because I know of a couple of people myself whose name was not on that list. We have Isaac Flores out of Houston, Texas. The young sister that was just killed the other day at the shelter,
Right?
right? That's just two. So imagine who else. People who are watching right now, they know somebody else too. Like Carla Garcia of Orphanage said, we have to ask ourselves, why? Why now? What is it that's going on that they're attacking us in such an aggressive way? It seems like they are on a mission to run us out, right? Or to scare us out, right? And the reason we're having this discussion with you guys is because we're garinagu, and it's important that we understand and know what's going on outside of our comfort zone. And what I mean by that is, if you're Belizean, you seem to be comfortable just being Belizean. You're patriotic to Belize. If you're Honduran Garifuna, you're patriotic to Honduras. You forget what it means to be Garifuna. That's comfort zone. And us in the United States of America, we forget that we're Garifuna. We become Americanized. You know, um, we're having this conversation with you guys because it's time for us to focus on a Garifuna agenda. And like Pablo said, we touched up on that Saturday, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And it's just time for us to know what's going on and do something about it. So again, it's just 20 people that was listed by Orfane and Kenny Castillo. And Kenny Castillo is going to be in town with us November the 8th and 9th in Los Angeles. He's going to report on not only these deaths, but he's going to discuss every other thing that is going on that we don't know about in the Garifan communities.
And we got to understand like the historical context of this too, Trevor. I mean, in Honduras, we I'm saying this in Northern again. I mean, we were never getting a chance to develop ourselves in Honduras. I mean, the Chumagal people, they made sure that we didn't develop ourselves. So we were forced to leave. We were forced to leave our land behind, our communities behind, and try to establish a life here. And then many of us, in establishing a life here, we don't get a chance to retire in Honduras
Right.
because of the stresses of the life here, in which we try to maintain that connection with Honduras, with our community in Honduras. I mean, Honduras is a failed state. I mean, that's like evident by the way that the news media portrays it, by the way we see it, by the way we feel it as well as a community.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
we don't have um any institutions to start in Honduras.
Right.
We have organizations, but nothing that the entire community could benefit from. Every community is autonomous. I mean, they have their own patronato. I mean, it's a level of organization or
That's divisive.
misorganization.
As a matter of fact, while we were having the discussion Saturday about the whole patronato system, uh, we discovered through a patronato and other members of the community that the patronato system is actually a divisive one. You know, Pablo, if every patronato, they have talked about the patronato having one president, right? But nobody wants to have that real conversation about having one patronato as a president. Not, there's basically a leader to the body. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? So
But the
that
thing is, it's a power thing, Trevor. Who you can't have somebody from a different community want to rule over you.
Well,
We have, so it's the
but that's
power.
what we have to. That's
We
what
think it's the power.
that's where we have to change the way we think. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's not that that leader, that specific person. For an instance, if we were to name Carlos Martinez, who is the current president, and I'm only mentioning him because he is the most active patronato that I know of.
Right. He's
You understand
visible.
what I'm saying? In the United States of America, the young brother is back and forth to Honduras. They're about to build roads, and they haven't asked anybody for a cent. You know what I mean? They just grinding as a community and making things happen. So let's say hypothetically, we have one leader like him, who is the head of the patronato body. It would make sure that an individual patronato can't make a decision that can be detrimental to the Garifuna body. Because any decision made by one patronato in one Garifuna community, it impacts all 46 to 51 Garifuna communities in Honduras. Because what happens in one community, because if you notice, if I'm not wrong, that out of the 20 people that were killed, again, only a couple were killed in the Bronx or in the United States of America. The others were all killed in Honduras, and they were all killed in different Garifuna communities.
Right.
Mosca is the only community where they killed two. And the last brother, Oscar Guerrero, Trompo Nugile, he's from Triunfo de la Cruz. He's not even from Mosca. He was just executed in Mosca, right? But so they're targeting leaders. They're targeting Garifuna leaders. And the reason they're targeting Garifuna leaders, Pablo, is because they're utilizing scare tactics. And that's one thing that I want our people to hear from me, from Mabriga Garinagu, from us, that we cannot fold and succumb to scare tactics. You and I, we're going to die sooner or later. We can stand up like men and women and fight, or at least stand up for ourselves and not get bulldozed and run over, or at least we can stand up and say, look, like we plan on doing as we go into the conversation as the International Garifuna Council. We're forming a delegation that is going to go to Washington, D.C. We're going to the UN. We're going to the Congress of Honduras to have a conversation with them to let them know that we understand that the government of Honduras cannot protect us. Therefore, we're about to protect ourselves. But if we're going to protect ourselves in that capacity, Pablo, is going to require patronatos agreeing to work collectively, agreeing to work with Orphanet. Because all of them don't want to work with Orphanet, and I understand why. Because Orphanet is stuck on their ways. But I'm here to tell you something. There's something that all of us can learn from Orphanet. All of us. Whether we like it or don't like it. They know how to survive. That's why Berta Cáceres is dead and Miriam Miranda is still alive. You understand what I'm saying, Pablo? They're doing something right.
Well, the thing
Because
is, we gotta rethink like our organization or how we organize ourselves. I mean, if this event doesn't, or these series of events doesn't like, you know, make us more conscious and aware of like where we're at as a community, as a society, I don't know what else would. Because coming over here is obviously not the solution. Coming here to a shelter with your children, staying with relatives, that's not the solution.
true, but that's leadership. That's a leadership issue, Pablo. Coming to America is a solution because, again, you and I have had this conversation on the background of things where we speak about the Jews, where we speak about the Asians, where we speak about the Irish, the Japanese, the Chinese, the who you name it. They all came here and lifted themselves up by the bootstrap. But they had a leadership, Pablo. They had a leadership that came here from China, that came here from Japan, that came here from Italy, that came here from Dominica. We were speaking with some Dominicans that
Right.
came here from Puerto Rico who said, look, I'm a Puerto Rican, but I'm here on behalf of Puerto Ricans. I'm an Italian, but I'm here on behalf of Italians, a leadership. And that's what has lacked, Pablo. It's not that the shelter is the only refuge for a person who crosses the border. You know what I'm saying? Because the Asian community, all of the communities we mentioned, they still have people coming in through the border system, through the illegal migration system. Trust me, it still happens every day. But you don't hear as much about their suffrage as you would hear about ours because they have a system in place for their people, Pablo.
Right. And I noticed that. And I noticed that. And I just feel like we haven't created that system because
Not yet. Yeah.
we really don't understand how things work in this country. I mean, like I could say from the Honduran side, we have very astute leaders, but their understanding, their fluency of English is not necessarily the greatest. So they basically are limited in getting resources for us. And that's why we don't have nothing like that in the Bronx,
Right, right,
from my
right.
perspective.
That's because they don't want to cooperate, though, Pablo. Look at what happened to the conversation in the Bronx, where we were talking about stopping the violence between ourselves and Bronx, New York, and the United States, and making sure we do something about what's happening in Honduras, right? We have a couple of people who come in and they want to say this and want to say that, seem to be antagonistic in the way they were raising questions instead of supporting and saying, okay, yeah, I have some good ideas, but I see some holes in them, right? And let me come in and let me share my ideas with you so that we could bridge those gaps, so we could close those holes. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody seems to be want to move in. They want to move on their own agenda, but they don't want to collaborate. They don't want to cooperate, Pablo, with each other. And look, this 20 that Orphanet has down is between January to right now, October, November, December. We still have 2.5 months before this year is over. And in the past month, they've killed 8 Garifuna people. Not in the past year. In the past month, they've killed 8 Garifuna people in Honduras. So
And we're not seeing the community talk about this.
they're not. No one
It's
is.
very troublesome.
No one
Like
is. No
we
one
should
is.
be discussing this in Casa Yurume. We should be out
Right.
doing something. We're not even talking about it on social media.
Right.
Only
But
certain people are talking about this on social media. I mean, I have to ask the question: do you really feel Hondureño as a Garifuna person? Do you feel part of Honduran society if they're killing our own people like this?
but I wouldn't.
That
I, I,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't.
we can't
I wouldn't.
honestly say that we
Right.
feel attractive right now.
Right.
We really
I
can't.
wouldn't. I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? The reason I wouldn't is because that is, like I said, and I've been saying to people, respect starts with self, Pablo. You know, if we, to me, a sign of self-respect is us standing up against this oppression, standing up against what's going on to our people. That to me is a sign of I respect myself. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You know what I'm saying? We respect each other. We support each other. We're not going to allow you to do that. But we just want to sit and we want to watch. People say they don't want to be involved because they're going to put their lives in danger. Dude, I'm here to tell you, if you Garifuna, your life is in danger. I'm gonna tell you why. One, you're Garifuna, and two, you happen to be black too.
Yeah, but
Anywhere across,
remember that that historical education that we need to have with our people. A lot of Garifuna people they don't understand what happened in this country to black people.
right? They don't.
They don't understand peonage, convict leasing, Jim Crow, all these governmentally instilled policies just to harm black people. They don't understand that. They
And
think
we fall,
yeah, we
and
can
we
supposed
fall in
to
this
live
circle.
and chill, raise our family, then go back. No, it's more complex like that than that.
Right.
Life is very complex here. You know, we can't assume that once we get here, everything is gonna be fine and we're gonna ride into the sunset and everything is gonna be all, gravy, like they
Right.
said. It
Right.
doesn't work that way. We need to talk about this. We need to have like a collective reaction to this, like we did on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. It was beautiful, man. Let's go back to Friday. I wanna. Now we've talked about some of the problems. Now Pablo and I want to discuss with you, those who are present with us, solutions. The first step that we're taking is a voter registration campaign, which is going to kick off March the 14th. Punta Rock Garifuna Voters Campaign, a civic engagement campaign, and a financial literacy campaign. So this Saturday we had an event with the NAACP. Thank you. Friday, I'm sorry. This past Friday we had at the what was it called? The exact term, the Freedom Award ceremony with the NAACP Bronx chapter. Brother Bernie Burke, thank you so much for inviting us. We are now getting ready to educate our people on the importance of civic engagement. Pastor Sonia Fernandez was honored by the NAACP. Hear what I'm saying? A historically black organization that is 110 years old honored Pastor Sonia Fernandez Friday. That's the beginning of something. Pablo, tell me, what is the importance of being civically engaged with other organizations like the NAACP?
Well, the thing is, when you have an oppressed community who've been harmed for centuries from Honduras, like us, we need to be engaged in politics. It's not something for us to even think about.
Right,
We have to be engaged by
right,
default because there's a lot of things that we haven't acquired as a society in Honduras and here as well.
right.
As you alluded to earlier, we have a lot of communities that develop themselves here in this country.
Yeah,
And
everyone, bro.
it's easy for
Everyone.
them to develop themselves. But
Right.
us, for some reason, it's taken too long for us to develop ourselves because we have certain people in the community that are just happy by the way that the situation is right now.
Right.
They don't want it any other way. You
But
know,
it's
it's like
profitable.
you got to leave everything to God,
Yeah.
and God will take care of all this for us.
Nah, man.
And that's
God
not
is
the work. It
God is
hasn't been working.
right. God is the first one to tell you get your ass up and do something. You know what I'm saying? You don't wait on God to do anything. God wakes you up in the morning. If you wake up in the morning, gives you the strength that you need, and that's about it. That's what my mother told me. Everything else is up to you. If you decide to get out that bed and make a move, you get out that bed and you make a move. And what's been lacking, Pablo, is just the leadership, bro. That's the only thing that has been lacking, and which is what we're forming through the International Garifuna Council. You know, and the Garifuna Consortium, a leadership that is going to focus on establishing those institutions that you were talking about, because institutions is like savings account or a checking account. It's something you can lean on. It's an investment. In the future, it outlives you, Pablo. Institutions outlive me and everyone that's with us live right now. So it's time to establish Garifuna institutions so that we can make sure, Pablo, that the interest of Garifuna people, be it immigration, be it social welfare, be it education, be it healthcare, you and I talk about it all the time, mental health, because since our exile from Balisol, 1797, 222 years ago, we are a traumatized people going through the process of life every single day, just surviving, and continue to be traumatized by systems in which we live. And I don't care where you go, they traumatizing us in Belize, they traumatizing us in Guatemala, they traumatizing us in Honduras, they traumatizing us in the United States of America, they traumatizing us in St. Vincent. Everywhere we go, they traumatizing us in Nicaragua. And the only reason, and I don't want to say too much about it, is the leadership.
Right.
If we have that leadership that's willing to cooperate, and that's why we're looking for young Garifuna brothers and sisters. We're looking for you. mothers and fathers, if you have a young boy, young girl who is interested in learning about the culture, learning about how we can improve the quality of life for Garinagu. If they're in New York, tell them to contact Vice President Pablo Blanco. If they're in California, tell them to contact me, President Trevor Palacio. Anywhere in between to contact either of us
Well, the
because we're
thing,
looking for you.
here's the thing, Trevor. Like, we never had an organization or a thought or a discussion about the life of the regular Garifuna person, which here is labeled as poor working class, because
Right,
the majority of us are poor working class.
right.
So how do you get out of that? There has to be some level of education that we have to get out of that. We have to
Agree.
get into certain fields. How do
Right,
we prepare our children to get into these fields to get us out of this poor working class status that
right.
they, because
Work.
we have to develop generational wealth in
Yeah,
this country, and I don't
right,
see us doing that.
right,
I don't see us doing that. Like, my generation has to think more along those lines moving forward in order to sustain ourselves and to sustain our society too. Because right now, I mean, we're heading towards extinction.
Well, you know, I would say that yes and no. What I see heading to an extinction would be the outer bunny Amudununi principle, but not the culture. We, for some reason, we hold on to the culture, Pablo. We can't. As a matter of fact, it holds on to us. If you know what I'm talking about, the culture holds on to you. But the outer bunny Amudununi principle is something that colonial thinking, colonial strategy knows and has been successful in attacking. And that is the principle that we need to go back to. And Audubuni and Murinuni simply means you for me and I for you, Pablo. So I don't see an extinction in culture. I don't even see an extinction in language. Because look around, look at what media is doing, man. Through Facebook and other social media platforms. We're connecting with each other. People want to learn how to speak Garifuna, but people don't understand and hear what I'm saying, and I know you agree. People don't understand that to be Garifuna means Ao Boom Noon. You feel me?
A lot
Ao
of
Boom
people,
Noon.
believe it or not, Trevor, a lot of people from Honduras don't know what that means.
No, they don't. No, they
They
don't.
have
Oh,
no idea what that is because we've been bombarded by all these different religions and all these different philosophical ideologies, and
right,
and it's not something that my generation would know. That's something that my previous generation would know.
right,
And they couldn't teach it because they've been trying to survive. I mean, these hit Maslow theory of hierarchy,
right,
that's real for us.
right,
We've
right,
been surviving for too long.
right. There's a word that you use often, idiosyncrasy. That is something that, and for those who don't know what it means, basically that which gels us together, how we move, how we groove together. It's like dancing a slow dance and you move into one beat. You know what I'm saying? We just understand each other. Before I say move left, you move left. That's what it means. That is what Al Buamudunu brings, Pablo.
Right. It brings a framework. That's what it brings.
Yes.
It brings a level of the way that we organize ourselves.
Yeah.
And we lost that. We got to
Yeah.
regain that again.
Right. And carry ourselves and cooperate with ourselves. You understand? Cooperate, carry ourselves. Those are two different things. I have to carry myself in a certain way to be willing to cooperate.
Well, here it's called being on code. In
Right.
America, it's called being on code, having a code of conduct, code of ethics.
Right.
That's what Autobunya Murununi is.
Right.
Like, we already have it, we just don't practice it because we don't know about
Right. Right.
it. And we
But we're
got to,
gonna change that.
yes. I mean, I have to. Budoma, when we were talking on Sunday at Premier Baraldas, he
Let's
was like,
get
we really have to have these Ubulendo classes.
right.
we have to start administering these Ugolendo classes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the issues that I'm having is just having the time to do it. That's my
We
main
got to,
issue now is having the time to do it because
right.
that's going to take time.
That's everybody.
That's at least a 2 hour class that we got to commit to, and people got to arrive on time. And I don't have that type of time to like be waiting on people for an extended period of time. If
We
it's
start without him, Pablo.
it
For I mean,
has to be
moving
from 2 to
forward,
4.
we got to start with our people. Whoever the world is run by those who show up.
Right.
And you experienced that in the meeting that we had again Saturday, where we were talking about violence against ourselves in the United States and violence against garinagu in Honduras. People came in and they talked about this and talked about what we were not doing. Where if they would have showed up on time, they would have known that we've covered all those bases.
Yeah.
So what I learned from this weekend in that lesson was, look, we just gonna start with our people or that are not there, and we're gonna remind newcomers that look, don't come with anything. Though you may not want to ask a question today because you don't know what we've discussed. You know, and the most touching part about Saturday, for those who don't know, Sister Glenda, the mother of Derek Perry, the young brother who was stabbed by Mario at
Fernandez.
go ahead.
Mario Fernandez.
By Mario Fernandez at St. Mary's Park in Bronx, who is walking around Bronx, New York. The mother came, and I actually have a video. My wife recorded a video, man. I'm gonna share it with you, where she was talking, and a video where we were praying over this woman. What touched me about her presence was, Pablo, that we were talking about her and didn't even know that she was in the room.
Right.
Right. So we came together, we talked about the violence that's going on in the community, and this woman stood up, a woman who don't even speak amongst others. She found the strength within herself to get up and speak in front of about 40, 50 people and say, hey, I need your help. This is a message to those who are in New York. Glenda, Derek Perry's mother, is pleading us for help. The police department right now is only asking for one person. And I am daring that one person to step up today. Make it today. Don't make it tomorrow. That mother needs to be comforted. And you could be the person who comforts her by simply going to the police department. Or I tell you what, contact Pablo Blanco, who will lead you where you need to go. Because we're not concerned about a thing. We're men. Our community is not going to continue to be taken advantage of by our own or anybody else. Pablo, we're not going to do it. We're not going to stand idly by because of fear. It goes back to that fear tactic. People are afraid to come and speak up, Pablo.
Yeah, but they don't have any reason to. I mean, they could go anonymous.
Yeah.
They could go anonymously, and nobody would know who said anything. But the fact that they're not doing that, I find that to be disrespectful to Glenda, to Derek, and to the entire community as well. Being
Right.
that a person committed the act.
Right. And I want to say this to whoever saw what happened. You have a brother. You probably have a sister. Yeah, I know you have a mother, and I know you have a father. You possibly have an uncle. I know you may have a grandmother or a grandfather. They could be next. Now, how would you feel if someone witnessed what happened to your loved one and they just didn't say anything to bring some kind of justice to the life that was taken and to bring some kind of comfort to those who survived? How would you feel?
Here's the thing, Trevor. We know that by him not coming forward, as a man. and
Or a
saying,
woman.
I am responsible for this. Just be a man about it.
He's
Just
not
be,
going to do that.
you have to
He's
be a man about it. But then I got to questionize who's around him and what family members are around him.
dude, they not. People are
That's dysfunctional. I mean,
no. People are thinking in different ways. Pablo, his family don't want him in prison. They know what he did was
he
wrong.
killed somebody. He has to go to prison. He
No.
killed
We get
somebody.
that. We get it. We get it.
We're
He
not
has
even
to go
having
to
that
prison,
type of
but he's
conversation.
not.
It's not about his family right now. It's not about his family right now.
His family gonna protect them. His friends are going to protect them. They're not thinking about their loved ones because they're only thinking about protecting the interest of what they think is right, and it's 100% wrong. Mario Fernandez is not going to turn himself in, man. I'm from the streets, bro. You know what I'm saying? Well, you don't go turning yourself in when you do anything dirty, man. You know, you get snitched out by your homies who were there with you, or someone who is responsible in the community calls the police. But what we're asking, and I want to thank you, Pablo, for pointing out the fact that this can be 100% anonymous. 100% anonymous. Whoever you are who knows, contact the police department in Bronx, New York. All you have to do is tell them, look, the guy who was killed, his name is Derek Perry at St. Mary's Park,
On
and
May
I
24th.
saw Mario Fernandez kill him.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
They're
Now,
gonna you
when
to
it
go to
comes,
the precinct. You know, they're gonna come pick you up.
Mhm.
You know, it's nothing. It's nothing to be afraid of.
Nothing, nothing. And si tú eres una persona que no tiene papeles, no preocupes de nada. Estamos preparados para asegurar que no tienes que preocupar por nada. We have elected officials in Bronx, New York, ready to partner with us to make sure that whether you're legal or not legal, and if you want to speak, you're good. No preocupes de nada. We want justice for Sister Glenda, and we demand justice for Derek Perry.
She needs
And
closure.
actually, what's that, brother?
She needs closure.
Yeah, she needs closure. It's important, and that's what she was begging for. She was begging for it. She was pleading for it, for closure. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's going to make her feel better about that situation. On Sunday, we were at the Baralda Award, where Casa Yurume put together a yearly Baralda Award. This was the 7th annual Baralda Award. And I want to thank Sister Mirta Colon and the Baralda team for what they are doing in the community. And Pablo, I also want to thank the 3 people who mentioned what's going on in Honduras. You know what I mean? Because there were 3 people there who talked about queens, Garifuna queens who were elected to be awarded Baralda of that year, who discussed what happened in Honduras, and we want to thank them because other people, as you say, Pablo, are not talking about what's going on in Honduras or even in the community in the Bronx as if it's not happening.
Yeah, I remember one of the sisters. I think Gina mentioned it. I think our sister, Catherine, she mentioned it, and I forget the other person. But you know, everybody has to talk about this, man. It can't be just them. You know, we have to talk about. We got to continue talking about this. This is genocide. I don't know what other word to use to describe what's going on to us right now, Honduras. This is genocide. If you ever wonder what genocide is, this is it. This is Rwanda right now for us in Honduras. If you guys get a chance, go watch Hotel Rwanda and how that movie is, and you'll see the parallels between Hotel Rwanda, the movie, and what's going on with us right now in Honduras. We definitely have to come together as a community, man. I mean, I don't know what other events will bring the community together other than this one. The consciousness has to raise, and the thing is that we got to force the conversation of the politics,
Right.
or what role the politics play in this.
Right.
Because if we had responsible Congress people in Honduras, which we have 12 of them now, Garifuna, they would be in the forefront talking about this.
Well, first and foremost, they work for a corrupt government. That's step one. That's one thing. I mean, period. I mean, period.
Even here as well, too, Trevor, if we had more politicians that were Garifuna, that were at that level,
Right.
commissioner, assemblyman, senator,
Right.
somebody at that level that could push the Garifuna agenda, we would be at a much better place. At
Well,
least, at
we're
least,
going right. We're going to be because that is the momentum we're building right now, in even having this conversation. You know what I'm saying? That we are forming that body that's going to make sure we have congressional representation in the United States. Pastor Sonia Fernandez is running for an assembly position in the Bronx, New York, 7th and 9th district. You know, that's the beginning of something right there. If you're in New York, make sure you understand what Pastor Sonia is trying to do. She's trying to put Garinagu in a position of leverage. The word is leverage, you know? And for those who don't understand what that means, Google it, right? Political knowledge leads to leverage. Political knowledge leads to the Garifuna Community Center, right? Political knowledge leads to economic development in our communities. Pablo is working on a project right now where we're talking with Senator Sepulveda about opening a market in Bronx, New York that's going to cater to the needs of Garifuna people. It's going to create jobs and it's going to create a presence where we can create an economic boom. Because I tell you what, once we establish that market, then we can tap into Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, etc., wherever we at, and whatever they have, we're going to begin to ship them. And Pablo will ship them straight to that market first. You feel what I'm saying? And so that they could get to moving. So we'll create jobs in Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, St. Vincent simultaneously, right? So again, we're not here to just talk about the problems. We're here to talk about solutions, and we have plans for solutions. Uh, the symposium coming up next month in Los Angeles, November 8th and 9th. We're going to talk about Garifuna unity, voter registration and education, Garifuna economic development. We're going to talk about the formation of Garifuna media, just like Pablo and I are doing. Robert Mariano and Sister Sharon are doing in Belize with Habafu Garinagu. Sister Verlene Arzu and Brother Bill Flores and Francois Estrada with Gar Vision in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. We'll get Radio Limon with Miguel Alvarez, Bajamar Noticia, right? We're putting these channels together so that you could be informed simultaneously, right? Garifuna economic development will be discussed. We're about to launch a project. We have Professor Tulio Martinez coming from Honduras. We have Professor Clifford Herbert coming from Nicaragua. We have John Arano, who can't make it, but who's a part of the discussion. They're putting together a plan for economic development through agriculture. One, they're also putting together a plan on how we could protect our territories from erosion, because we're losing territories in all of the countries we're in because of where we live. We're surrounded by water.
right?
So there's a lot of things that need to be covered, and we're going to cover quite a few all the way to the Garifuna flag in Los Angeles, November 8th and 9th. If you're in Los Angeles, or if you're not in Los Angeles, tell your family member who is in Los Angeles to make sure they're at their meeting, right? Because if you claim that you care, and I'm a realist, I drink a cold beer, I'll drink a glass of wine, I'll smoke myself some good reefer, and whatever it may be to deal with the realities of life, and that's what you do too. So I'm not going to be over here to ostracize you. I'm not going to point at you and tell you, hey, be perfect. None of us are perfect. But I do know one thing. You and I are in the position to step up, whether we smoke reefer, or whether we have a drink, or whatever vice we may have. We are in the position to stand up and say, you know what? I like what Pablo Blanco, Trevor Palacio, Sonia Fernandez, Herman Cayetano are doing. New York City. We love what Shirley Gibbons, Agustin Guerrero, Ivan Santos in Houston are doing. We love what Joyce Cayetano, Deshaun Arzu, Juan G. Mena, Frida Sidoroff in Los Angeles are doing. We love what Joseph Miranda, Sharon Miranda, Fidelis Nunez, Rodel Castillo are doing in Chicago. We love what Wilbur Guerrero, Joellen Connor, sister Ana Dolmo are doing in Seattle. Let's join them. Let's join them. Right? Let's join them. Because what they're actually doing is establishing something that is going to empower the community and not set it back. Okay? We don't have respect, Pablo. That's why we're treated how we're treated, whether we're in Honduras, Belize, St. Vincent, etc. And the reason we don't have that respect is because we don't have leadership, bro.
That and the disorganization that comes without having that leadership.
Without having that leadership. It's like a body. Imagine a body with no head. Gallina sin cabeza. Gallo sin láblogo. Imagine that. It's just gonna run around, flopping around. For those who's ever cut the head of a chicken off, do it again if you have to see what happens. Without a leadership, without a head, the body just wanders. And Garinagu have been wandering ever since March the 14th of 1794, when they assassinated Joseph Chatoyer, the paramount Garifuna leader. For 222 years, we've been gallinas sin cabeza. For 222 years, chickens with no head.
We've been struggling to find our way. We've definitely been struggling to find our way. And Honduras told us that you guys are not going to develop yourselves. And they made sure that.
Yeah.
They made sure how much in poverty we are in Honduras. So don't try to tell me that you're a catracho and you live in close to like $20 a month.
A day. A month. Sad. Oh my God. I thought it was $20 a month.
Some people they normalize poverty, Trevor. In Honduras, they normalize poverty. Like black people are supposed to be like, no, it's not supposed to be like this.
That's why they're attacking us from different angles. They're killing us from one angle, physically. Congress, where 12 Garifuna people sit, they're trying to end Honduras. And I'm only talking about Honduras. And I'm here to tell you that if they're successful in one place, they're going to carry it on somewhere else and do the exact same thing. So they're attacking us from multiple fronts. In Honduras, they're killing us physically. And in Congress, they're trying to change the name of Garinagu, Garifuna people, to Afro-Latino.
Or Afrodescendiente.
Or Afrodescendiente. May Celio Alvarez rest in peace, but he messed up when he did that. Celio Alvarez messed up. May he rest in peace, and I thank him for everything he's done, without a doubt. And when I'm dead one of these days, and I'm going to be dead too, right? Just like the rest of you going to be dead, or the rest of us, thank me for what I've done. It's okay to look back and see where I messed up and be like, yo, he possibly could have did something different. And what Celio Alvarez could have did different was not bring that kind of mentality into our community, unbeknownst to him that the enemy was actually working on a 30-year plan, Pablo.
Well, it's an illusion. Celio was, and God bless the dead, he was under the illusion that we would be accepted into Honduran society by using that term.
Yeah. Just like Jesse Jackson.
He didn't know that we are an indigenous Caribbean community.
Right.
So that term doesn't really describe us as a community. You can't use that term for us.
Right. We can't.
But he sold it to the government and they brought it, of course.
Right.
because in watching those two cases, they always bring that up. That was the defense. It was, "There's son afrodescendientes." Lo dijo el serio. You know, like he didn't mention the name, the prosecutor, but he called us afrodescendientes.
Right.
Garifuna have afrodescendientes, two different communities,
Yeah.
vastly different.
Right. Right.
Vastly different. They try to put us all in one.
Yeah.
We're not. That's not our community. That has their history, language, or lack thereof, and culture. It doesn't exist.
No, but that's why we're encouraging any Garifuna leader who is savvy. You might be a Harvard graduate calling us Afro, this and that. You're doing more damage than good.
Well, there's a new term for us here in America. It's called Latinx.
Who?
That's a new term, Latinx.
Latin X.
Yes, that's a new term that I've seen a couple of Garifuna people embrace and throw out there into the.
I've had a long week for you to come with some new shit today, Pablo.
Well, that's a new term. These are the terms that people are using to describe us.
Okay, no.
You're burying the Garifuna name under all these terms. Afrodescendiente, Latinx.
Let's leave them behind, Pablo. If you're Garifuna and you identify as Latino or Afrodescendiente, you go create your own group. We're talking to garinagu. We're talking to people who are proud to be Garifuna, and the only thing they want to be called is Garifuna. Okay? Mabus holding a lubawaro no Afrodescendiente. Mabus holding a lubawaro no Afro Latino. Garifuna out, man. They get the busu in the gambo. They bawaro no niri. Ambu mawaro no Trevor or Albu amuru no. Bawaro menu Garifuna. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Enough of that. We don't have to allow that to happen. But I say, Pablo, what we're doing with the IGC body, we're condemning that. We are the leadership. I'm here to say it. I'm Garifuna leadership. If any of you have a problem with it, check my timeline. If you have a problem with me identifying as a Garifuna leader, you check my timeline, baby. Check it. I'm here to tell you that. We are living proof. Pablo and I and the people in our circle are living proof that we are Garifuna leadership, because one thing we're not going to do is lead you to slaughter. We're not going to lead you to slaughter. That's what leadership don't do. Pablo, leadership does not lead you to slaughter. We're here to establish Garifuna institutions to safeguard everything that is Garifuna Duo. March the 14th, we're going to launch our first campaign, voter registration, civic engagement, and financial literacy campaign in Bronx, New York. We're looking for a venue right now. Contact Pablo Blanco. He is the vice president of the International Garifuna Council. And the International Garifuna Council is the governing body for garinagu that we're establishing. No, we're not your government yet. We're not going to become your government until we get delegates from each country. And then these delegates get educated and edified on who we are, what we're doing, and what we're trying to do. And then they go back to your community and educate you. And then when they come back, then you become a part of that government. And that government is going to be right here to safeguard your future. So March the 14th, we kick off the Punta Rock Voters Campaign. If you live in New York City, contact Vice President Pablo Blanco. We're looking for Garifuna youth to get involved. We don't care how old you are. You could be 4 years old. You could be 6 months old. If your mama could get you there, fine. If you could be 16 years old, you don't have to be eligible to vote, because one day you're going to be eligible to vote. By then, we want you to know what it is that we're talking about. Pablo.
So there's certain things that we are working on putting in place. I mean, the civic engagement, that's very important. You can't be Garifuna and not be civically engaged. You have to care about what goes on in your surroundings and what goes on to your livelihood as well, because this civic engagement is going to make your standard of living. It's going to increase your standard of living, as a matter of fact. If you get more involved, we gotta see. The thing is, Trevor, we're not taught to have a mouthpiece. We're not taught to ask questions in the community.
Right.
We're not taught that. I mean, especially coming from Honduras. From what I remember, you were just told what to do. You wasn't the environment in Honduras did not foster one to ask question and to have an interchange.
Right.
And what do you call that? That's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
The freedom to speak and the freedom to ask questions and inquire. I mean, we don't have that inquiry mindset like other communities do. We need to have that. We need to build the children
Right.
to have that, to always ask questions. I was always told to ask questions. I mean, I had a different upbringing up here. I
Right.
actually in school, the teachers used to get annoyed at me for asking so many questions. But how are you supposed to learn if you don't ask questions?
I agree.
And we have to teach our community to do that. We gotta be more assertive, especially when it comes to our interests.
Right.
We have to be much more assertive. We gotta explain what's going on. We
Right.
cannot mask it because we have too many Garifuna people that mask what's really going on, as if we're that middle class community and everybody is fine and well. No, 95% of us are living in poverty in Honduras and here.
Yeah.
That's not reality. Don't tell me that you're gonna tell a council person, that we have this great culture and that's it. No, you gotta deal with our reality.
Yeah, we're more than culture, man. That's why I was saying earlier, man. Our Bunia Muda Nuni principle, it is the pillar. We don't have pillars in our community from the foundational perspective. We have one pillar. Our Bunia Muda Nu. You know what I'm saying? And that's the pillar that we need to come back to. And that pillar, once applied, is going to take care of everything else that we're concerned with. Every other need that we have is going to be covered because we're going to make sure that you have your brother's back, that you have your sister's back, and your sister and your brother have each other's back. You know? So if you're in New York City, if you're in Los Angeles, be at the symposium.
It's November 6th and 6th,
November 8th and 9th.
8th and 8th and 9th.
November 8th and 9th. Be at the symposium. That's one. 5250 West El Segundo in Los Angeles, California. Be there. After that, the next campaign we're working on is in March. Way in March. We're encouraging all of you purchase your flight right now. It's going to be March 14th. We don't have the venue yet. Pablo and I, we're working on the venue. But we're going to have elected officials, people who want to be elected officials there. We're going to ask them hard questions. We're going to ask them, what can you do for us? And we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to tell them that we want to get from the community center, right, Pablo? Right?
We need a cultural institution.
Yeah, we need.
We need. I mean, see, under this UNESCO proclamation, I mean that we haven't used that to our advantage, and I want to put it in the air.
Right.
I mean, shouts out to the Cayetano family who wrote the proclamation. For the rest of the community, we got to commend them for doing that.
Yeah,
but we got to start using that to our advantage. I mean, you want to safeguard our community. Our culture has been in existence for 800 years.
Right.
And we know that through the language.
Yeah. Right.
Not many communities within your district have that type of trajectory.
Right.
So you're going to want to safeguard us. And we're becoming more and more civically engaged. Right. We're becoming a voting bloc.
Yeah.
That's 300,000 people for a particular district. That's a lot of votes.
Just Bronx, New York. We're not talking about the Garifuna population in the United States, which can impact the presidential election. Did y'all hear what I'm saying? We're talking about 300,000 garinagu in Bronx, New York alone. We're not talking about the 40 in Houston. We're not talking about the 25, 30 in Los Angeles. We're not talking about the 1,500 in Chicago. We're not talking about the 500 in Seattle. We're not talking about the 1,500 in Louisiana. We're not talking about the 4,000 in Miami or Florida. We're just talking about one location where we're going to launch the voter registration campaign, but we're going to take it across the board to other communities. We're asking those who are with us right now to join us in that campaign. If you really want to make a difference, we are here to tell you that the difference that we can make is by being politically savvy, by
Well,
being politically informed.
we forced in that conversation. That's the only way that we're going to be able to survive. And I think we made a very good example of why we need to be civically engaged
Right.
in the community. Because 300,000, that's close to 400,000 votes nationwide
Yeah.
in a presidential election. That's a voting block. That's the goal for us, is to get all these votes. They call it weaponize the vote. If we organize the community to that level, we can have an influence on the presidential election, and that's
I,
the goal.
I prefer not to use the word weaponize, because what they will do then is to demonize us. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather use a term like galvanize. We need to galvanize our votes. You know, we need to make sure that our votes, like you said earlier, are uniform, that we have a voting block. You said voting block. You know what I'm saying? Once we're educated, we're going to take the 300,000 in New York. We're gonna take the 500,000 garinagu in the United States of America, and we're gonna ask the 250,000 of them who are eligible to vote as one.
Right.
We're gonna go to you and we're gonna say, we're not gonna tell you who to vote for, but we're gonna ask you to vote with us. Vote as one, because what we're gonna do as your leadership, and we're asking you to accept us as your leadership. We're also asking you to look at what we're doing to see if we exemplify the type of leadership you're looking for. We're going to ask you to do that. Look at us. Look at our actions. Look, check out Pablo Blanco's timeline. Check out Trevor Palacio's timeline, and I'm only talking about the two of us. All you see on our timeline are things that are relevant to the Garifuna community. That's all you see on our timeline. We don't utilize this platform to gas ourselves up. We don't do that, Pablo. We use this platform to inform and to educate our community. So that's why we're asking you to join us, be a part of the movement that we have started, or rather, let me not say started, that we are continuing. Because you mentioned Baba Roy Cayetano of Belize, Phyllis Cayetano of Belize. These are the people behind the instrument of the 2001 UNESCO proclamation. They were the ones who drafted that proclamation. So what we're doing is continuing something that has been started. And we're asking you to join us in that continuation process, because we have a long way to go. And cooperation can get us there the fastest, Pablo. And that's where I think we struggle. A willingness to cooperate with each other, because we have grand ideas, and you want to push your idea and I want to push my idea. And at the end of the day, it does none of our ideas individually impact the community like we want to.
And it's unproductive and unconstructive. It's not constructive. It doesn't get us anywhere.
Right. Right.
Me thinking that my idea is better than yours is not. That's not going to help us for anything.
Right. Right. Yeah, that competitive nature.
People need to understand that.
Right.
People need to understand it. I mean, if you're, and this is why there's a lot of division in the community, because people, they don't want to admit that they just don't have it.
Right.
They don't have it. They don't have it. I mean, they don't have the mental capacity. I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody down by no means, but
Right.
you know,
Right.
in order to do this stuff, you gotta stay abreast of a lot of things, Trevor. Like I'm reading, you know, newspapers all day. I'm talking to different politicians. I'm attending different events. You know, all that's time consuming, and I don't see our people there. I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see our people there.
Right.
They're not engaging with these folks. So the
Go.
people that take the time to engage them and support them and come on board.
But we're
It's not a level of arrogancy with me. I mean, I'm not an arrogant person. I'm just a realistic person.
right.
So that's what it is. I'm very realistic, and if we don't civically engaged in a real serious way, you already see what's happening to us in Honduras, and that's because we have no power whatsoever as a community in Honduras.
I agree with you. In my closing comment, I want to thank J. King Lopez. I want to thank Sister Glenda, the mother of Derek Perry. I want to thank Bodoma, who has a great idea that we're going to implement in March the 14th. It's called Aruha Yani. It's a hard word for me to say in Garifuna. Basically, what happens when 3 young people die in the Garifuna community, there is a traditional practice that garinagu used to apply where they were thankful to God and they did something to the north, the south, the east, and the west. Bodoma can explain it best. March the 14th, we're going to do that. And what it does is it stops the dying of youth. It stops the killing of young people. We want to thank Jackie Stevenson, Dennis Roches, Edie. I forget his last name.
Guiti.
Edie Guiti. We want to thank Carla Garcia, who came as an individual, but she also represents Orphanet. She didn't represent Orphanet on an official level that day, but she came and represented herself. Thank you for that. Pastor Germán Cayetano, Pastor Sonia Fernandez, Garifuna Queens, Kayla Reyes was in the house, Elsie Guiti was in the house, Edson Arzu was in the house, Bahamar, Frank Clotter. Frank Clotter was in the house. Frank, thank you for taking all of those pictures and doing the videography of the entire event. You are the individuals that people look at you and I, Pablo, and they say, you give us hope. I know you've heard that 1,000 times.
Yes, Sister
But
Rosita told me that, and that means a lot coming from her. I mean,
yeah, but they also have to understand, Pablo, that they give you and I hope.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? When they show up and they participate, we're not giving you hope alone. Me and Pablo are no different than you. We need hope too. We need hope too. And what we're trying to do is to establish something that's going to empower our community. And when you guys come out and you get involved, that gives me hope. It lets me know, Pablo, that I'm on the right track, or rather, we are on the right track to empower our people. You know, and those who are tuned in with us tonight, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you for sticking with us. You know, for listening in when you could be doing something completely different right now with your time. That is my closing remark, Pablo, and I want to thank you for establishing Mabriga Garinagu, which again is a Audibunia Mudanuni media affiliate, and is focused on communication fast, swiftly. The minute it happens in one community, everybody gets it instantaneously. So
It
that's
has to be real time. It has to be real time. And again, through the technology side, I'm exploring other mediums to use so we could all of us to be connected. I'm looking into Slack, creating a group in this new platform called Slack. I'm currently learning it now. I'm on a couple of real time news platforms on there. But I also want to send a big shout out to Wendy Chavez. There's a lot of people to mention. So guys, please don't get mad at me if I forget.
yeah,
Chavez, Brother Angel Valerio that came from Connecticut.
yeah,
Wendy
yeah,
came from Jersey, New Jeru. Angel came from Connecticut. I mean, Cliff Colon, Ishna
yeah,
Sumner, Judith Mejia,
yeah.
um,
Matias Mejia,
Matias Mejia came as
right?
well.
Yeah,
Dr.
Pablo Garcia,
Ovelio Lopez, Pablo Garcia. I mean, all these people, they just came because they were concerned.
right,
There was a reason why they showed up. They were concerned. We all
right,
seen this movie before, and we don't want to go there
right,
as a community. So they came because they're leaders in the community, but there hasn't been a platform to discuss this type of issue because this topic is so sensitive. The violence is so sensitive, and a lot of people don't even want to touch it. They don't even want to talk about it on social media.
Right.
So I want to thank them for coming and voicing their opinion and giving their remarks to what
And
we're.
Dr. Osvaldo as well. Dr. Osvaldo, thank you for coming in and sharing your opinion as well, because his comments, like I said, there, questions could have been phrased a little bit more friendly,
Right.
like we're doing something productive. But the questions, nevertheless, were great ones. They were duly noted. And we will follow up on everything that Dr. Osvaldo brought to our attention. And I also want to personally thank Angel Valerio for a donation of $1,000.
Shouts out to that brother.
One
Shouts out to
thousand.
you.
I repeat, Angel Valerio is donating 1,000 US dollars towards a project that we're working on in Triunfo and La Ensenada.
Good
So,
looking.
Brother Angel, thank you very much for supporting the IGC in that way. A grand, wow. I
That's what we
couldn't
need.
believe it.
We have people in the community. We don't necessarily have to go outside the community, Trevor. We just got to awaken the ones that's inside the community and to see and give them,
Hope.
the tools to
Yeah.
get involved.
Right.
Or
Right.
for them to see the deliverables that we're doing because you see my timeline. I mean, what I'm doing and who I'm engaging with. I mean, I'm taking this very seriously, man.
Right.
Like I'm putting a lot of time and energy into this.
Right. Right.
Because it's nobody else is doing it. I mean,
Nobody.
wait, let me rephrase that. They doing it, but they're not explaining our experience in the correct way.
Right.
They're not adding the proper context. They're explaining it all wrong.
Yeah. Things that matter are not being discussed.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
bringing the conversation in regards to our historical context, how harmed we have been, how abused, how traumatized we have become because of that abuse, that we end up here in this country.
Right.
I'm giving them the timeline. We're starting from the 1200s
Yeah.
to 2019.
Yeah.
So that's a long stretch of time. A lot of things happened to us during that stretch of time. But, to God be the glory, we're still here. We're still surviving. We're talking about this, and we're taking steps to remedy the issues that we have in the community. So we are very solutions oriented, and we just invite the rest of the community to be part of our organization.
Right. Hey man, I want to thank you for this follow-up conversation on what we did this past weekend. Pablo, I had a great time. Please extend our thank you to your fiance Sandrine for showing us a whole lot of love. You know what I'm saying? We had a good time with you guys, man. What an experience it was. I'm still tired because of it, too. I said that too. I'm still in recovery mode. So Los Angeles, November 8th and 9th, be there. Send someone there. March, that's Los Angeles, March the 14th. And this is gonna be a major campaign. So we're looking for people to get involved right now. DJ Turtle, we need you. Frank Clowder, we need you. If you're in New York, we need you to be involved with what it is that we're doing. Pablo, thanks for a great conversation tonight, man.
Same here, man. And get some rest. Tell Lakeisha I said what up. And we're gonna continue this conversation, Trevor. We're definitely gonna continue it. And it's not just us, the community. There's a lot of what I saw on Saturday told me that the community needs this. So the community got my back, I'm there.
Yeah, yeah. And Sister Glenda, we love you. My Sister Glenda, we're not gonna give up on Derek Perry. We're not. There's no way, bro.
Yes, that's correct. And shouts out to Yacy, her niece, who's been with her, and her and her husband, and, the family. I mean, she's doing the best that she can. She's doing the best that she can. And what she's doing is admirable. And shouts out to that sister. I mean, this is tragic on so many different levels, and she's handled it the best way that she can.
Right.
So in closing, buitigunyong honso matago, mabriga garinagu, buitigunyong.
How about you, City Bravo?
How about you?